and family. It's a weekday and I know you all are running to work, so it will be very important for us to try and keep this as short and concise as possible. There's a nice verse from Kunti Mata's prayers. It is in 1:18:26, and maybe we can read that verse and understand the practical implications of that verse. Janma Aishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madaha Puma Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvammakinchana Gocharam Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madaha Puma Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvammakinchana Gocharam Janmaishwarya Shruta Shribhi Edamana Madaha Puma Naivarhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvammakinchana Gocharam. Would anyone like to chant? Otherwise, I'll read the synonyms. Janma, birth. Aishwarya, opulence. Shruta, education. Shribihi, by the possession of beauty. Edamana, progressively increasing. Madaha, intoxication. Kuman, the human being. Na, never. Eva, ever. Arhati, deserves. Abhidhatum, to address. In feeling. Vai, certainly. Tvam, you. Akinchana Gocharam, one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man. Please repeat the translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. My Lord, Your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Please hear Prabhupada's purport. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth, and education, and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such material puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing Him feelingly, O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Thank you. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely 1. High parentage, 2. Good wealth, 3, high education, and 4, attractive beauty are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of God. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Namaha Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaure Tvishe Namaha Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is a very famous verse from Kunti Mata, and it gives us a hint of how devotional service should actually be performed. Kunti Mata is praying to Krishna because Krishna is about to leave and he's going away from Kunti Mata and the Pandavas. And Kunti Mata is feeling in her heart great separation from Krishna. In fact, Kunti Mata says between these verses that actually all the difficulties that came, she's praying that the difficulties come again. Because as long as the difficulties were there, they were always remembering Krishna. And Krishna was always there for them. So Kunti Mata now makes a very important statement. She's saying how Krishna can be easily approached. The word she uses is not just approached. Everyone can approach Krishna. But the word is easily. And she gives us a very nice clue to how we can easily approach Krishna. She says here that your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by one who is known as Akinchana Gocharam. Akinchana Gochara means one who has now become materially exhausted. Materially exhausted does not mean that now whatever we possess, we should throw them away. But the beauty of material exhaustion is we should understand that these things that we have, if we try to depend on them for happiness, the happiness is not permanent. If we think that these material qualifications we have will actually bring us eternal happiness, eternal peace, then we'll become very disappointed. And it is true in our own life experiences. Krishna has given us so much, but you all know from your own experience, having a good house, having a good family, having a good job does not necessarily translate into eternally being happy. In fact, the nature of the world is such that it is meant to bewilder us. Bhagavatam says, samsara dharme avimuyamanaha. So the nature of the world is that the world is a place of anxiety and difficulty. So it is not surprising if there are difficulties in this world. And so Kunti Devi says very nicely that there are 4 things which are considered generally to be a sign of material improvement or qualification. One is, of course, they try to improve themselves with respectable parentage. When we come from some kind of good family background, it's easy for us to think that that good family background will be the shining light to save us always. Sometimes we believe that we have enough wealth and that wealth will save us. Sometimes we believe that if we have high education, that is also a great qualification. And the last point is that we have beauty. So in this material world, for example, if someone is good looking, he's well qualified, he belongs to good parents and good background, and apart from that, he's also very well educated, he has money. So that is generally considered the standard for success. But Kunti Mata brings up a nice point to Krishna. She says that if we have all this, the tendency for us is, instead of using it for Krishna, very often we tend to use it for ourselves. In other words, we use it as a buffer between us and Krishna. And we genuinely believe that, well, I have money in my bank, I have all these things, I don't really need Krishna. So actually, instead of helping us, if we are not careful, these items can become disqualifications. And the whole material world looks at these things, and that's how we very often view people. But in the spiritual world, it's completely opposite. Krishna, in whole Bhagavatam, shows us so many times that factually speaking, Krishna showed us so many times in Bhagavatam, factually speaking, that actually he is not really attracted to how much beauty, how much parentage, how much good wealth we have. That has never attracted Krishna. For the simple reason that Krishna has more of that than all of us put together. That's why you cannot impress him with these things. You can impress a poor man. It is said in Shastras, you can impress a poor man with wealth. You can impress a low-born person with high parentage. You can impress a very not too good-looking or ugly person with your beauty. You can also impress someone who is not educated with your education. But all these things you cannot use for Krishna if you want to show him that you have more than he has. Because Krishna has everything. From Krishna, the best education is coming. From Krishna, the best parentage is coming. So there is nothing that we have materially that is going to attract Krishna. Because whatever we have is actually borrowed property. The education we have will not follow us to the next life. No baby in this world is born with LLB and MSc. No certificates come with us when we are born. We are born with nothing. And by the time we finish our activities here, no certificates we take back with us also. No matter how well qualified we are, these qualifications never follow us. So every life is a start, it's a scratch. But Krishna is eternal. And that is why Bhagavad Gita says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, which means everything is coming from Krishna. Krishna is the source of material and spiritual worlds. Sometimes it's easy for us to think that Krishna is a reservoir of spiritual qualities. But actually Bhagavatam tells us he is the reservoir of all material qualities also. So anything that we see, anything that we have, is actually coming from Krishna. That is why Bhagavad Gita says, Krishna says to Arjuna, that I am ability in man. Whatever ability that you have, material or spiritual, Krishna claims it in Bhagavad Gita to say that ability is borrowed ability. It ultimately belongs to me. So when you understand that, then Kunti Mata's prayer is very nice. She's saying actually that material qualifications is not necessary to attract Krishna. And why is it important to attract Krishna? Because that is the goal of our life. Bhagavatam tells us, and all religions agree, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo, Yathor Bhakti Radok Saje. Ahaituhi apratihata yayatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. Suprasidati means to become satisfied. If you ask anybody, your neighbor, anyone who believes or doesn't believe in God, and if you ask them what is the aim of your life, eventually they will tell you the same aim that you have. I just want to be happy, I want to be peaceful, I want to be satisfied. Shastras tell us only two kinds of people don't want this. Either you must be madman or you must be dead man. A dead man doesn't want to be happy because he's dead. And a madman doesn't understand the meaning of happiness. If you tell someone the aim of my life is always to be depressed, then they'll say something is wrong with you. But if you say that my aim of life is happiness, then they'll say you're very normal. So Bhagavatam recognizes Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo. We may have different occupations in this world. We all wear different hats. Some of us are mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, workers. These are all different dharmas. But there is one dharma that combines, unites all of us. And that is Paro Dharma. Yathor Bhaktir Adog Suje. Our main aim in life is to find this satisfaction. But the satisfaction is achieved when we render devotional service to the Supreme Lord. That is very important. The moment you render service to the Supreme Lord, it's like the son or the daughter coming home to the parents. It is where we belong. And this devotional service should be done two ways, Bhagavatam tells us. It's very clear. The first is, it should be done in an unmotivated way. Unmotivated means that Krishna, I come to you because you are my father. It is my natural preoccupation that I should always serve my father. No matter how far we go, no matter how many fights we have with father, mother, in the end, father is father and mother is mother. We cannot deny that. When we were younger, we fought with our parents like anything. But when we have our own children, then we realize, so many things our parents told us, now we are telling our own children. And so much wisdom they had and we thought they were foolish. And the same thing our children must be thinking of us now. You're very slow, you don't know what is happening, you don't keep up with the times. So every generation is plagued by this. And the devotee is also plagued by this when he comes to try to understand Krishna. We always think Krishna knows something but not everything. I know more. This is how we think. But then Kunti Mata says very nicely, with all the material qualifications, if we really want to approach Krishna, we must have no motive in our heart. No motive doesn't mean there's no motive. It means our motive is pure. That is the meaning of no motive. Just like material qualification is a disqualification, doesn't mean we have to give up now our bank balances. If you want to give it up for Krishna, that's good. But you don't have to tell your wife now I have to give you up. Now I have to give up this and that. That's a convenient way to get out of a sticky situation. But the real point of the Bhagavatam is that whatever material qualifications we have, either we use them for Krishna. That means we dedicate our lives for Krishna. We plan our lives in such a way that whatever we get, something must go to Krishna. And whatever that comes back from Krishna becomes Mahaprasad. It doesn't touch us. That is the meaning that no material qualification attracts Krishna. But the moment we think material qualification is ours and we forget it has come from Krishna, then material qualification catches us. Sometimes it doesn't catch us very quickly. I mean to say grossly. But sometimes as we become devotees, it catches us in only one word. It is known as subtle false ego. That is why high parentage, Prabhu, you all have just become second initiated, but I was born initiated. This kind of thinking. Or Prabhu, you may be very qualified, but you know what, I studied very high. I'm a lawyer, so I know how to make arguments, create arguments. Business of lawyers to anticipate arguments, so I have an edge over you. Or Prabhu, every time I pass a mirror, I can't help but notice how good looking I am. What Kunti Mata is saying, if we keep looking at all this, the tendency to forget Krishna is there. Isn't it? And the aim of life is to remember Krishna. Sin, sometimes people ask, what is the meaning of sin? How to give up sinful activities. Prabhupada gives very nicely, sinful activities means that time when you forget Krishna. At that time, sinful activities are there. But if you plan your day in such a way that your day is mostly used for Krishna, and even at the time when you are not remembering Krishna, Krishna remembers you. He creates favorable situations where you can remember Krishna. That's why Kunti Mata is very, very grateful to Krishna. Because he created so much difficulty for the Pandavas that they had no choice but to remember Krishna. But it is not because they were not qualified. Pandavas were very qualified. So much more qualified than all of us. But they never got stuck with their material qualifications. They were simple in the way they approached Krishna. So, the real secret to approaching Krishna is not to become attached to the material qualifications, but to use them in the service of Krishna. If you're educated, use your education for Krishna's service. You study nice books, nice sastras, and you present them to the public. That education is very helpful then. If you have high parentage, then you have some culture, some behavior. Use that culture to influence people. So they see, oh, God consciousness is such a wonderful process. If you have Lakshmi, money, then use it in the service of Krishna. That's all. I remember asking my Guru Maharaj, I can't give everything to Krishna in terms of money. But if I give some, what happens? So Maharaj told me very simple. Whenever you offer bhoga to Krishna, what do? Mataji is your cook. Nicely, one big pot. You don't take the whole pot and put it in front of Krishna. You take whatever Krishna is going to take in a smaller offering, then you put it in front of him. Once you offer it and then you mix it with the rest, the whole thing becomes Mahaprasad. So Maharaj told us that even if you put 10 cents aside for Krishna, but if that 10 cents is used out of what you have earned, then it purifies everything else that you touch. And gradually your heart becomes broader and bigger and you're able to give more to Krishna. That's why material qualification on their own is not a disqualification. But if you don't use them in the service of Krishna, then the forgetfulness of Krishna becomes a disqualification. This is an important point. And very nicely Prahlad Maharaj says in 7th canto, 9th chapter, 9th verse. It's a very nice verse. Manye dhana bijana rupa tapashrutaujas teja prabhava bala paurusha buddhi yogaha naradanaya hibhavanti parasya pumsam bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayutapayaha. This verse is very important and it should be read with Kunti Mata's verse. Because in this verse, Prahlad Maharaj, who's another great devotee of the Lord, Prahlad Maharaj had everything material in terms of qualification. Born to the greatest demons of all time, Hiranyakashipu. That means no problems with money, no problems with fame, name, everything he had. But he rejected everything because it was not of any use to Krishna. It was not of any use. So he says very nicely that Krishna, one may possess wealth, one may possess aristocracy, one may possess beauty, one may possess austerity, one may possess education, you may possess great sensory expertise, you may possess influence, you may possess luster, tejas, you may possess physical strength, bala paurusha, you can even possess diligence, you can have all the intelligence in the world. And then he ends by saying, you can even have mystic power, siddhi. But he says, I think, this is his opinion, that all of these material qualifications, they do not satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is a nice word. Huh? They don't satisfy Krishna. So if you want to satisfy Krishna, those who satisfy Krishna, automatically they become satisfied. Isn't it so? If Krishna becomes satisfied, everybody becomes satisfied. You remember when Durvasa Muni came in Mahabharata during the exile, he was sent by Duryodhan. And Duryodhan wanted him to go with hundreds of his disciples and ask for food at Yudhishthira Maharaj's place. And at that time, Draupadi had nothing. She had nothing left. Everything was finished. So when Durvasa Muni came and said, I'm going to take bath and then after that I will come back and then you must feed all of us. Yudhishthira Maharaj very nicely said, no problems, we'll feed you. He didn't check with the kitchen department. There was no prasadam left in the kitchen department. Sometimes Prabhus get scolding because of this. We plan a lot of programs, forget to check with our wives. Then we tell our wives, on this day there'll be this. And then we get the reality checked. Oh, actually, nothing was planned. How do we know? Same thing. And Draupadi said, why did you come and ask them to come now? Before that, because of the Akshay Patra, everything was there. But now everything is finished. There's nothing left. So Yudhishthira Maharaj said, I've given my word. You have to do something about it. So at that point of time, Draupadi only depended on Krishna. This is the point that Kunti Mata is saying. Those who depend on material qualification, because they are attracted to it, they lose the dependence on Krishna. Because why? They lose abhidhatum vai. They can't address the Lord with feeling. There are two very nice points in the purport that stands out. One of it is that sometimes when in difficulty we can utter prayers to Krishna. But Prabhupada says the utterances must come with feeling. Even in material world, when you want to genuinely touch somebody's heart, you can touch their heart when whatever you say comes with feeling. Isn't it true? What's the difference between a successful person in a job? They know, your employers know when someone does something with feeling. When they know an employee is not doing something because he has to do it, as opposed to because he has the heart to do it. That's the difference. That's what attracts everyone in this world. You ask a teacher who's teaching students. The student who's not just doing it because he has to do it, but who's really learning with feeling, that person always attracts a genuine teacher. And look at our own children. We all have children, or we have those whom we love. But we find that when they love with feeling, we can know that they have that sincerity. So actually, feeling is what attracts Krishna. And Prabhupada translates feeling into quality. If you don't put quality into devotional service, then Krishna is there, but the advancement of our love for him is actually checked. So sometimes you ask why we are chanting so many years, why we are reading so much. But the difference is actually in a few minutes. A struggling devotee doesn't put feeling into what he does. So he does it, now I have to go Haribol. But an advanced devotee, whatever he touches, he puts feeling into it. When Kunti Mata chanted these verses, she put feeling into it. And you don't need to go for seminars to understand how to feel for something, isn't it? Maharaj told us sometimes that if you have a child at that end of the house and you put your mother in this end of the house, you don't have to give a seminar to a child how to find mother. Child will cross all the obstacles just to reach the mother. In the same way, nobody needs to teach us how to do something with feeling. It's there. It's Krishna's gift to us. But are we using it for Krishna, or are we using it for ourselves? That's the difference. When we use it for ourselves, we are not materially exhausted. But when we use it for Krishna, even though we have everything, he gives us the capacity to become exhausted. We don't have to exhaust ourselves. He will exhaust us by rejuvenating us in devotional service. That's why sometimes people think, oh my God, I have to become fried to come to Krishna. No, you don't have to become fried to come to Krishna. You fry you, yes. Krishna fries you before that. But what happens is, for those who are reaching Krishna with feeling, then Krishna automatically makes them lose the attraction for these material things. That's why Prahlad Maharaj had everything. He had from wealth all the way to mystic yogic power, he had the capacity. But his conclusion in Bhagavatam is, these things don't satisfy Krishna. In fact, he says, one can satisfy Krishna. Bhaktya tutosha Bhagavan. Krishna can only become satisfied if you simply discharge sincere, loving devotional service. And he gives the example of Gajayutapaya, Gajendra. You know Gajendra. He was just an elephant. And frankly speaking, he had no material qualification. In previous life, he was Indradyumna Maharaj, highly qualified. But what happened was he was sitting down and meditating on Krishna when Agastya Muni came to the ashram. And after he came to the ashram, he saw this devotee Indradyumna Maharaj sitting down and praying and meditating. But when he was meditating, he was not concentrating on anything else. So Agastya Muni became a bit hurt. So he thought, if you want to sit down like this, like a dull animal, better next life you become an elephant. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, for a while it looked like a calamity. Why should a devotee become elephant in his next life? What's the point? He's advancing and suddenly he appears to be demoted. But actually, Indradyumna Maharaj was not disturbed by the curse because he saw the hand of Krishna. This is another qualification which is more important than material qualification. When you become attached to material qualification, it's very hard to see the hand of Krishna in difficulties. Generally, we curse Krishna when we are attached to material things because we lose them sometimes. Or sometimes we don't get more of what we want. But the great devotees of the Lord, they understand everything is on borrowed ability and time. So if Krishna wants to take it back, that means expiry date is there. It has to go. So Indradyumna Maharaj was thinking, Krishna has come in the form of Agastya Muni. Parikshit Maharaj says in Bhagavatam that the Brahmana's curse is actually Krishna. So even though I was cursed, I was given 7 days notice before my death. What a great fortune. I can now sit down and hear Bhagavatam. How many of us have that fortune? That we know our time is short. Very few of us. And even if we know our time is short, theoretically we know it. But when someone dies, we lament and we say very sad. But the point is, we never think that our turn may be next. By the end of today, somebody here may go. I'm not cursing. I'm just saying. It's possible. So from now till then, what are we doing? This is the point. So that's why Gajendra was very great. Gajendra was in difficulty. Idam Gajendra sayadapa sankatam pranasya dehi vivashyo yadrichayaha. So he was caught by the jaws of the crocodile. And he was very intoxicated. In next life, Indrajit Maharaj becomes Gajendra. But as Gajendra, he has lost the power of remembrance. So it looks like very bad. And he becomes attached to his wife, elephants, many wives he had many children, he had many generals. So one day they all go through this beautiful mountain known as Trikuta mountain, and they reach this beautiful lake known as Ritumat lake. And there they all play and sport as elephants do. Gajendra was so powerful, he was using the water and just spraying it on everyone. Endeavor, but he loved it because he was proud of his achievement. All of a sudden, the crocodile in the lake became disturbed. Who is this funny fellow who comes to my lake and disturb me? So he catches the foot of Gajendra. Gajendra thinks, what is a crocodile? Very easily I can dislodge it. But he can't. He had all the material qualifications of strength, aristocracy. For elephant standard, he was highly aristocratic. He was the king. He had so many wives, so much of opulence he had. So he thought, with material qualifications, I can defeat the crocodile. But 1,000 years, Bhagavatam says, passed. And the more he tried to defeat the crocodile, the more weaker he became. Why? Because he was depending on his strength. And the moment we depend on our strength, because we are proud of our material qualification, the result is frustration. Why am I not advancing in Krishna consciousness? Because I think I'm doing it on my own. It's me, it's all about me. So Gajendra thought it's all about me. Then sometimes our false ego extends to our family. So he thought, let the generals help me now. So the generals tried to help him. The generals were an extension of his ego because they surrounded him based on his material qualification. But Bhagavatam tells us the generals couldn't do anything. When the generals gave up, the wives tried. Kuta karanya prabhavanti mochitam. Even they tried. But they could not mochitam. They could not free him. They tried. So when the wives could not free him and Gajendra was stuck there, the generals left him. And then the wives also decided, my dear husband, we married you because we thought you will give us shelter. But now obviously crocodile is stronger than you. We can't wait around for you to give us shelter. We have to go somewhere else. So Gajendra's heart was very pained. Then he turns to the children. Children say, well, between mother and father, difficult, but we'll go with mother. Generally, that is the tendency, isn't it? Father is very important to us. But we know through mother, many things can happen. Father is normally a bit stricter. We tend to open our hearts to mothers. So the babies all left with the mothers. What was Gajendra left with? All the material qualification in the world. And yet caught by grahena pashena. Bhagavatam says this crocodile was not just a crocodile. It represents a network of illusion of the material world. And because the crocodile was in its water, where it's naturally in the water. Crocodile is an aquatic animal. It stays in the water and it's on land, but in water it's very powerful. But Gajendra was not like that. By nature, Gajendra was not a water animal. It loved to sport in water, but it was a land animal. So Prabhupada says, we should understand who we are by nature. When we become attached to material qualifications belong to this material world. But our nature is spiritual. So even though we try to hold on to it, we grow weaker. But the material qualifications don't make us stronger. This is a very important point. So that's why Gajendra lost the battle. Because he was not in his natural position. He was with material elements. The crocodile was gaining because crocodile was in the material, was in its element. So it was very powerful. That is why Kunti Mata says, Devaki Mata in the 10th canto, she tells Vasudev, I am actually very afraid of Kamsa, her own brother. I'm so afraid of him. Every time he comes to take my child, I'm afraid. Prabhupada writes in that purport, sometimes people think that devotees should not have fear because devotee must be abhay, fearless. But why is it that Devaki Mata was fearful of Kamsa? Because Kamsa represents material association, material sangha. The moment you come in contact with matter, you forget spirit. But the moment you get in contact with spirit, then even though you have to be with matter, you know your position as spirit. You know who you are. You know your limitations. You know where you are. Supposing I come to Prabhu's house, I cannot sit down and think this is my house. Then I'm in trouble. After a while, Prabhu's going to throw me out. Eventually he has to do that. But if I come to this house and I know my position, that I'm just temporary, I'm a guest. So the faster Bhagavatam class finishes, the more happy everyone is. So I should move. So if I know my limitations, then that fear that I'm going to overstay actually protects my consciousness. That fear is not considered a weakness. It is a strength in a devotee. Because the devotee knows that this place is limited. Why do I think I'm unlimited? This is intelligence. So Devaki Mata did not want to be in touch with material Sangha too much. Only when necessary. But in this instance, it was not necessary for her. So Prabhupada writes there very nicely. A devotee should always know his limitation, even while depending completely on Krishna. In fact, the more we understand we are limited, the more we understand we are amsa, very small, then the more dependent we become on Krishna. And ironically, the more we believe we are small and know ourselves to be small, the more we get Krishna's mercy. And therefore, the more stronger we become spiritually. It appears like an irony, but it actually works. Krishna becomes very attracted because of one quality in a devotee, humility. Humility is one of the most important symptoms of surrender. Gajendra was helpless, and so he realized he was in Sankatam. Sankatam means dangerous position. His body was in danger. By the force of the crocodile was providence. He was put in a dangerous position. So then he decided. Consequently, he thought for a long time and he came to a decision. He said, all the great generals I depended on have left. All the wives whom I love have no choice but to leave me. All my children whom I love, they are leaving now. Now no one is with me. I had so much qualification, but where am I now? Now I realize only one person can actually save me from the danger of the forgetfulness of life. Vipadam vipadam na tesham, isn't it? Every step there is danger. Very, very important. This danger is the danger of forgetting Krishna. That is danger. A devotee is not so much concerned about the danger of something falling on our heads or dying. That is natural. We have to die and we have to fall sick. Those who are born must die. In between we'll grow old, some of us at least, or some of us will just fall sick all our lives. But that is going to come. But for a devotee, he doesn't want to forget Krishna. In all these 4 stations of life, let me not forget Krishna. So Gajendra's prayer was, let me now turn to the source of all sources, the shelter of all shelters. So he said, Paramparayanam. So then only he begins to chant. The beauty is, if you think about it, Gajendra had an elephant brain. So he was not supposed to be able to remember any mantras. He chanted so many mantras when he was Indradyumna Maharaj. But after dying, he would have forgotten everything. But because he surrendered to Krishna, very nice, Evam vyavasito buddhya samadhaya manohridi jajapa paramam japyam pragjanmani anushikshitam. This verse, the translation is nice. It starts by saying, thereafter. Gajendra fixed his mind where? In his heart. What a beautiful point. We very seldom hear this point. Nobody tells us, Prabhu, fix your mind in your heart. We normally fix our mind on something. But here Gajendra did this. He fixed his mind in his heart because he had to feel. He uttered his prayers not with his mind, but he uttered his prayers with his heart. This is the same point Kunti Mata is saying. Abhidhatum vai. Nai varhati abhidhatum vai. When we attach to material qualifications, it is very hard for us to put Krishna in the heart because the space is filled up with all our attachment to matter. But Gajendra, by Krishna's mercy, everything left him. So then he realized he was very unqualified. And the moment he realized this, he fixed that mind which was very disturbing. He fixed it in his heart. And the moment he fixed it in his heart, he addressed Krishna with feeling. So Gajendra fixed his mind in his heart with what? With perfect intelligence. Perfect intelligence means to know who we are and who the Supreme Lord is. That is very simple. Don't complicate matters. Supreme intelligence, perfect intelligence simply means you please know who you are, and you please know who you are in relation to the Supreme Personality. Then you will know who you are in relation to everyone. The moment these three are there, perfect intelligence is there. So he perfectly understood his position, and with his heart he fixed his mind. That means mind was not running anywhere. It was now fixed in the heart. And then what happened? He chanted a mantra which he had learned in his previous life. But how do you remember it? Bhagavatam ends by saying that he remembered by the grace of Krishna. This is the beauty. When one does not depend on material qualification, when one becomes simple in heart and not complicated in mind, then Krishna takes over there. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. He then gives us the intelligence, the remembrance to remember him. That's why it's nicely said that if you want to remember Krishna, Krishna has to remember you. But we must behave and work in such a way in this life that Krishna will remember us. He always remembers us, but to attract his remembrance, we should behave in such a way that we approach him with feeling. That's why Gajendra is stated by Prahlad Maharaj that it is his way that satisfied Krishna. So that's why Krishna tells very nicely to Uddhava, very important verse. I think it is 11.4.22 or 11.5.22. I'll remember it and tell you. It is nicely stated. What is that? Dharma satya daya peto vidyavan tapasan vitaha. So vidya is there, tapas is there, dharma is there, satya is there, daya is there. You all know these words. Then Krishna says, mad bhaktya petam. That means devotion is there, atmanam, to satisfy the self. Na samyate prapunatihi. Certainly. It's 11.14.22. 11.14.22. And the translation is very nice. Krishna tells Uddhav, neither religious activities which are endowed with honesty, nor mercy, nor knowledge which is obtained through great tapas or penance can actually completely purify one's consciousness. So with all the tapas in the world, our consciousness is not purified. With all the austerity of the world, our consciousness may not be satisfied. I may study whole Bhagavatam, but doesn't mean my consciousness is purified. But Krishna tells to Uddhava, your consciousness will only be purified if bhakti is injected into all these different activities. Bhakti becomes the platform. So if you want to do Mangala-arati, we should not become so attached to Mangala-arati because you know why? My tapas is so great. Then we miss the point of Mangala-arati. Mangala-arati is to glorify Krishna, not to glorify the fact that I can wake up earlier than everyone else. If we become like that, then we become attached to austerities and we forget Krishna. So many great munis and rishis became very attached to great austerities, but in the austerity they forget Krishna because it also becomes a source of material qualification, isn't it? We become very proud when we are materially qualified. Sometimes sadhus leave everything, but they become attached to the fact that I am sadhu. Sometimes we become sannyasis, but we become attached to the fact that I am sannyasi. So instead of danda actually renouncing, freeing us, the danda catches us. So actually we should be very careful. Material qualification doesn't mean just material qualification. Even great knowledge of Bhagavatam can make us very proud. I am Mahabhagavat because I know all Bhagavatam. But the whole point of Bhagavatam is to become humble and understand that without Krishna you are nothing. So then if you don't have bhakti, Bhagavatam becomes a disqualification. You become so proud and you forget. This is the subtle challenge that devotees will face. In the beginning, giving up eggs, meat, fish, all this was the gross challenge. Giving up of meat, fish, egg means there's no violence. But after we become devotee, we are more violent because our sword becomes our tongue. We scold everybody because we think we are great. And in that, instead of becoming humble, we have become proud. Why? Because I'm devotee. This dhoti kurta is supposed to make us humble. But when we wear dhoti kurta, we think, now we are at the top of the food chain. So it becomes a form of material qualification. That's why Prabhupada said, don't make even bhakti, or at least the appearance of bhakti, don't make it also into material. In fact, be simple. Bhakti should be simple. Sudama had nothing, so he declared to Krishna he had nothing. He was told by his wife, you go and ask Krishna for something. He thought, yes, but it's an opportunity to see Krishna. So he went there, he spent so much time seeing Krishna. In the end, he left the whole palace not asking Krishna for anything. As he left, what was he thinking? He was thinking that because I'm unqualified, that's why Krishna did not ask me what I should have. Because if he had known what I should have, then what would happen? He would have given it to me. But he knows if I got whatever he was going to give me, I'll become very proud. By the time he went home to Porbandar, he thought he had taken a wrong turn. Because instead of the hut, he saw a palace. And he saw the goddess of fortune walking to him. And he realized, oh my God, it's my wife. Where did she get the sari from? And she told him, I don't know what you did, but whatever you asked from Krishna was very good. It was perfect. You must have worded it properly. You must have convinced him very well. And he was thinking in my heart, my God, I didn't ask anything from Krishna. But Krishna was so kind that whatever that he thought Sudama should have, he gave. But he also knew that Sudama would never be attached to what was given. So Krishna will only give us what we need, not what we want. That should be our qualification. Krishna, whatever you give, that is needed. Whatever that you're not giving, that is wanted. So I don't want. But whatever I need, if you think it is necessary, I will take it. This is simplicity. Look at the gopis. To end today, gopis are the best example. Gopis had no education. Gopis had nothing. They were very simple cowgirls. But their only life, their only source of life was Krishna. That's all they live for. They live just to hear about Krishna. Tava kathamritam, tapta jivanam, kavi biriditam, kalmasapaham, shravana mangalam, shrimadatatam, bhuvi granantiye, burida janaha, atithi adbhavan, ahanikananam, trute yugayate, tvam apashyatam, kutila kuntalam, shrimukam chate, Jada udikshitam, pakshmakrit drisham. The gopis could not bear to be separated from Krishna. When he went in the mornings, they cursed the Creator for giving them the eyelids. They said, Brahmaji, what's wrong with you? You've given us these eyelids. When I blink, at that moment it seems like a yuga, and I can't see Krishna when he comes back. We have blinked for 1,000,000 times in our years. Never we see Krishna and blink, oh, Krishna, I'm separated from you. Nobody feels that way. We can blink and blink and blink and still no separation from Krishna. But the gopis just blink one time and oh, it's too much. It's amazing. And they say, Tava kathamritam. Anything that we hear about you is amrita. Tapta jivanam. It is the life of our soul. It's what sustains us. This is the only mode we need. If we become attached to the process of glorifying Krishna, and only to that process. Don't become attached to what comes from there. What is that verse? Kechit kevalaya bhaktya vasudeva parayanaha. 6.115 of Bhagavatam. You read Vasudeva parayanaha. There Shukadeva Goswami says, only those who have this unalloyed devotion to Krishna, devotional service can weed out all material sinful reactions. But how? What is the secret to this? Vasudeva. That means we render devotional service to Vasudeva. In what way? Parayanaha. Parayanaha means that Parayana means without dependence on austerity, cultivation of knowledge, pious activities, or penances. That means we are performing the service, but we don't become attached to the fact that we've become very pious, we've become very austere, we've become full of sense control, we are cultivating knowledge. Don't let these things distract us from being attached to pleasing Krishna. Otherwise, these things become material disqualifications. Forget the cars and everything else. These things will catch us at the last point. And those who do that, they become completely satisfied in serving Krishna. This is the real key. That's why the gopis, whenever they met with each other, they engage in gossip. Gossip means two people talking about third person, isn't it? They talked about the third person, but he was always Krishna. That's why we say even gossip is coming from the spiritual world. But instead of speaking about Krishna, today we speak about everyone else except Krishna. So this is known as transcendental gossip. Grahe grahe gopavadhu kadambe sarve militva samavapya yogam Punyani namani patanti nityam Govinda damo daramadaveti Vikretu kama kilagopa kanya Murari pada pitachitta vrittihi Dhadyadikam mohavacha vocha Govinda damo daramadaveti. So grahe grahe, the gopis were in everyone's house. They would meet like we are meeting. But instead of talking everything else, they would only discuss about Krishna. And this is done with feeling. So in conclusion, material qualifications don't attract Krishna. Krishna becomes attracted when our devotional service is with feeling, when there is sincerity, when we try to use whatever qualities that we have in His service. The moment you do that, Prabhus and Matajis, then no matter how many obstacles there are, Sarva Durghani, no matter how many, Mat Prasada Tarisyasi, Krishna will give us the intelligence. He will create the favorable situation where He will somehow or another allow us to cross over. The crossover may take time, but that is because Krishna is building up our patience and our confidence in Him. Devotional service cannot happen overnight. That which is precious cannot immediately come. It is precious because it has taken time to come. When it comes very freely, we devalue it. But when it comes with great effort and sincerity and with feeling, then we never lose it. Jai Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Ananta Kodi Vaishnavinda ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Thank you very much, Apparao Prabhu, Mataji. So nice to be here. You know? Lalita Mataji, thank you very much. It's been a while since I saw all of you. Really happy. Thank you everyone for coming. It's a weekday, so you should hurry off now for your work and everything. I'm on holiday, so I'm happy to be here.
We are fortunate that you could come to Minneapolis, Prabhu.
Yeah, no, I'm very fortunate. You know, last time I was not so well, so I couldn't make it. But I thought somehow the first window of opportunity I should find to come. Krishna said, when you have a good thought in mind, you should immediately do it. You know? Giving money is like that also, isn't it? In Dwaraka, I know Narada Muni was seeing Krishna was just taking something from left hand and he was giving it with left hand. So Narada came to him and told him, you know, Krishna, there's an etiquette. Whatever you take from left, you give it to right. From right, you give it. Krishna said, you know, I'm giving away so much charity, but I'm so attached to it. So before my mind changes between the left to right, better I just give it immediately. So Shastras tell us, devotional service, we should not wait for auspicious time. Let the stars align before I start chanting Krishna's names. Rahu time is not good. Ketu time is not good. Shani is there, so I can't do Mangala Aarti. I'll wait until I retire. That day is not going to come. Better we start today. What loss do we have? Gajendra was an elephant, but Krishna gave him remembrance. We are in human form. Why will He not help us? Logically, even if you use logic in that argument, why will He not help us? Little faith is very useful. Hare Krishna.
Oh, one question.
Yes, Prabhu.
So, thank you for a very nice lecture you gave. So, this point that material qualification does not attract Krishna, but we know, like, you know, as a devotees also, we know that very well that these material qualifications are material, whatever, like, we are doing, we are attached to, does not attract Krishna.
Yes.
But still we are attached. So how can we come out of that, you know, that thinking and then that attachment?
One way to do it, Prabhu, is to study Bhagavatam. For example, if you study Kunti Mata's this verse, if you read it daily and you pray to Krishna, that Krishna somehow give me the intelligence to understand this verse. And if you sincerely read it daily, Prabhu, Krishna will give you the realization. So serious study of Bhagavatam will help us to cross that difficult barrier between thinking of devotional service and practicing it. The second thing that's very important is our chanting of Krishna's names. The chanting should be done in such a way, it should be done with the heart. It doesn't matter whether you are chanting 1 round, 2 rounds, 10 rounds, 16 rounds, but whatever we chant, it should be from the heart. It is our appointment with Krishna. And we have appointment with so many people in the world. but our first appointment and our last appointment is always with Krishna. So when we chant with feeling, then that also helps to purify our heart. Then we begin to understand that material qualifications are useful only if it is for Krishna. Then naturally detachment comes. But detachment which comes because we are forced to do it, very often is very difficult to sustain it. In material world, sustainability is such an important concept. In the spiritual world, it's everything. Everything. It's easy to start something. It's easy to destroy it also. But to maintain something is very difficult. That's why we always tell devotees, bhakti is not a 100-meter sprint. Bhakti is a marathon. You have to pace yourself. Whatever you can do, you do it. But do it with feeling. If you do it with feeling, Krishna opens the doors for more. But if you don't do with feeling, then the doors are shut by yourself, not by Krishna. Sometimes devotees say, Prabhu, I chanted 16 rounds for many years, then I dropped. Why? It's because whatever we were chanting, we were trying to finish. We like, oh, okay, 10 rounds more, okay, 2 more rounds, okay, 3 more rounds. But we request devotees, you just chant 1 round with feeling. And after 1 round of feeling, what is the feeling all devotees say? Now I feel I should chant 1 more round. And then after that is done with feeling, you chant another round. So when feeling is there, it is quality. When there is no feeling, it is quantity. And Prabhupada said, better 1 moon than many stars. 1 moon can shine much brighter than many stars. So always remember, quality devotional service will automatically lead to detachment from material attachment. It is an automatic thing. And it's also very useful. The next time you sit back and look at your own devotional service, instead of blaming the whole world, blaming the stars, blaming people, blaming, Vastu, blaming everything, better you blame your own heart. I have not put in my own feeling. Who can force us to put in feeling? Nobody can force somebody to say, I love you. Then it's not love, isn't it? I love you by force. That's not love. So it must be with feeling, Prabhu. That's the key. Anything we do, just put some heart into it. The moment heart is there, Krishna will respond. Is that okay, Prabhu? Jai. So we end here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Jai, thank you. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Neelam Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, 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 Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala 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 Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev. Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Gurudev. Gurudev